Star Wars Episode 9 is filming in Jordan. Pretty sure. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Resistance Broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us today, being a part of the Resistance. We have a great show for you today. It is Monday, so that means it is our news show. So we're going to talk about that Episode 9 news and some other stuff. And we're doing a special segment because we're testing Lacey today. We'll get into that in a moment. And speaking of Lacey, let's say hi to James Bainey and Lacey Gillerin. What's up, guys?
You know, the only part I don't like about that Jordan news is that when I read it, I think of like Star Wars Newsnet's Jordan. Like he's like the only Jordan.
Space Jam.
You think of Michael Jordan? Like no. Episode 9 is filming with Jordan. You're like, ooh, that could be good. Michael Jordan showing up. What do you think of, Lacey?
What do I think of when I hear Jordan?
You just go right to the country? Like, oh, Jordan.
No, I go Space Jam.
You do go Michael Jordan. Man. All right, well,
I'm just disappointed that we're at another desert planet. Like, I thought we had this conversation months ago that, like, we didn't want snow or desert, and here we are again.
Well, what's funny about that is Jordan Pate from Star Wars Newsnet is the one who wrote up the first piece from that guy's Reddit report, the guy from Jordan. So,
and I'm just like, all right, skimming through Jordan. Okay, what did he have to say? Oh no, it's God, I did it again. It's about Jordan. You know, it's just
Jordan's writing about Jordan.
Yeah, he messaged me today because he proofed my piece, and today being not today.
Yeah,
and he said it's so cool that I just got confirmed today. I was like, oh yeah, okay. All right, so all that Jordan talk aside, we'll get into that in a minute. How you guys doing? Feeling good? Ready to talk about what's latest and greatest in Star Wars?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous because I'm gonna get tested, but I think I'll pass.
All right. Yeah. So later on, after the Resistance report, we're doing a one-off segment called 6 Degrees of Kylo Ren. Because if you listen to our podcast, you know that Lacey always finds a way to bring Kylo Ren into a conversation, even if we're talking about like gonk droids. So we're gonna throw a few objects, places, people at her, and see how quickly she can get to bring it to Kylo Ren. And me and James are gonna guess how quickly she can do it.
So John and I were talking about this earlier, and I can't help but think of The Office, which is my favorite TV show, where Michael's explaining that he can remember people's names really easily, and they're like, "How do you remember this guy?" And he goes, "What's your name?" He goes, "Tony." He's like, Jabba the Hutt, Pizza the Hut. Fat guys like pizza, pepperoni, Tony.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
It's so logical. It's fail-safe.
Oh, it's so good.
All right, so before we head into the news, we do have to go over those poll results, guys. And Star Wars Resistance is out, a bunch of episodes. Obviously, we've all seen it. A lot of us like it. And we simply asked you, for those of you who have watched episodes of the new animated series Resistance, what do you think about it so far? 63% of you, almost two-thirds, said, I like it. Only 4% said, I don't like it. And 20% of you said, I gotta see more to decide. And 13% said, it's a good show for kids. Were you guys surprised at how low of a percentage of people don't like it?
No, I mean, I saw 63% and I said, I like it. And I was like, okay, yep, that's kind of to be expected. And then when I got to 20% said, gotta see more to decide, I thought, oh, I'm actually kind of surprised that one wasn't higher. If that makes sense. So I thought that the number one answer would probably be gotta see more to decide. Because I think based on the 3 episodes that they've released, I'm surprised anybody could truly jump to a conclusion on whether they like this show or not, but 3 times more people said that answer, so I guess that's the solid answer. What do you think, Lacey?
I said that, I'm pretty sure I said I needed to see more, but then I also, part of me feels like I voted for it's definitely for kids. Because again, it like has that tone, that like little kid tone, which it's fun. It's a fun show. I'm all about it, but it's definitely a little kid show. Definitely.
Yeah, I am curious if I'm going to get drawn more into this show or not. I'm still going to watch it, but I did vote that it's a good show for kids, just because that's my initial reaction. And, you know, that can change as the show maturates, which is a good word. You guys should note that. Maturation, maturates, matures. Yeah. All right, so our best comment went to Scott Looney at a Scott Mess. And he said,
Scott Mess.
I like it. He said, I like it a lot. And he posted a GIF of Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber. So, Scott, that's Scott, not the Scott we know, Scotty J. Rose. Scott Looney. He likes Resistance. So, thank you, Scott, for the comment. You had the most likes, probably because people like Jim Carrey. So, you cheated a little bit there. But, hey, that's how you get on the show, man. That is it for poll results. We'll pop another one up there today for you guys to vote on. Now it's time to dig into the news, and we have some cool stuff straight out of Star Wars Newsnet for you guys. So, James, take it away.
It's the Resistance.
Man, Star Wars, you better check your pipes because there are some leaks out there.
Oh
my God.
Little plumber humor on this Monday morning.
Yeah.
It's a me, Mario.
No, I mean, I think we basically have two stories, but we really kind of come down to like it's one story ultimately. There's some images that are going around, a little bit of speculation on some locations of shooting for episode 9, and it's in this Jordan. You heard us talking about it. So this came from a post someone on Reddit, and they basically said, I was driving through this area and I happened to come across these tents and some props, and as he looked closer he thought he saw Daisy Ridley, and he started to look around, and he says, this definitely has been used in past Star Wars movies for locations, specifically Jetta, I believe. They said they got some primary shots there.
Yep.
So he took some photos, and the photos got posted, and I don't know, it kind of surprises me that Lucasfilm was a little more on this, but it always does seem to kind of happen that we get these types of photos from someone, a location that's like, why is the public able to stand like 100 yards away from these places?
That's what I'm saying. Like, how did someone just like casual? Imagine driving through your town and just like being like, let's go for a drive. And you drive into a Star Wars film set. Like, how does that work?
Well, I don't know how Jordan is. I don't know if it's like, Manhattan or something like that, but it seems very open. So it's almost hard to, put walls around and that sort of thing. And maybe they have restrictions where you can film here, but you can't restrict our people who live around the area from going where they gotta go.
Yeah, the person
who knows?
The person who posted this actually seems like a little bit more of a go-getter, doer kind of person, because the way they described it is they were out looking for some nice desert camping. So they were. He said it in.
They didn't put this in the article, but it turns out he was a plumber and he was going to his next job.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Didn't put that in that article. But that kind of goes.
Those leaks.
That kind of goes to show that they were, leaving the major city or the larger area of, what is it called? Not rural, but domestic. You know what I'm talking about. What's
urban?
The opposite? Urban. That's the one I'm looking for. The urban area, and then they moved out into the desert. All right. So what did you guys think of this, John? I'm going to jump to you first about the tents, the marketplace. Daisy Ridley kind of looks like Jetta, kind of looks like Tatooine, kind of looks like Jakku. What are you thinking here?
Well, do you want me to get into what I found out, or do you want to just talk about this first report first?
I guess that's up to you. To me, I kind of see these stories as like the same story and then updated with better information, because your story really like got to the heart of who this was or where this stuff was coming from. So I say you give us the lowdown on what you found out.
Okay, so like James just said, a Reddit user who lives around the area took those photos and said, I think this is a Star Wars production, and I think I saw Daisy Ridley, but I don't know, and this looks like it could be from Star Wars. Take a look. So I dug into this a bit more and was able to find somebody else close to the situation there who will remain anonymous, but they were actually able to confirm some stuff for us pretty confidently, and I'll leave it at that. that is indeed they are shooting for Star Wars, and it is, quote, 100% for Star Wars Episode 9. So that is confirmed there as far as we are concerned at Star Wars Newsnet. He also went into some other stuff saying that one of the sets there is for a marketplace. There are weird-looking food items and baskets and draperies and things on set, which makes me think of Jakku, almost Jetta, but I think of Jetta almost being destroyed now, so I don't know how many marketplaces are going to be around in Jetta these days. And it just makes a lot of sense to go back to Jakku, to Finn's chagrin. But the other thing...
Why does everybody want to go back to Jakku?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's pretty much nowhere. So the other things he told me was that requests for shooting have been made for Italy, Ireland, and California. And then I speculated, Naboo, Octo, and Redwoods for Endor.
Absolutely.
Possibly some Tatooine shooting. That part's just speculation on my part. But then he also said a lot of shooting is being extended through the new year at Pinewood, including one set that's going to be left open for an additional 2 months after most of the sets close up for added shooting due to rewrites. So we've heard that word rewrite a lot with this production. It doesn't mean a bad thing necessarily, but so all this information we were able to gather, and based on where I got it from and the things that he confirmed, it's all pretty rock solid from my chair here.
So like you said, John, I think it's something people need to remember, that rewrites are not a bad thing, like you said.
Exactly.
What people don't realize is with The Force Awakens, Rey and Finn didn't have the relationship they had in the first script. They didn't have that relationship until Han broke his ankle or foot or leg or whatever that was. And then JJ rewrote it for them to have more screen time to make up for the fact that Han wasn't there. So we wouldn't even have that dynamic between Finn and Rey if they didn't do a rewrite. That being said,
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if they went back to Naboo and to Endor. I mean, you have to think of it the big picture. Most likely they'll make more movies, but right now this is it. This is the last one. So of course you're going to shoot stuff with all the different places that we've been. My family was just in Italy, and they were at the place that Padme and Anakin get married, and they were like, "Where am I?" I was like, "Of course you're there." But there was no filming going on there, so I'm unsure where it's not there. It might be somewhere else.
Well, again, he said that those locations were requested.
Right.
But they have not been agreed upon yet. So it's on the table.
Right.
But it's 100% on the table as they were.
I was just giving my live update of family members being there. There were no people there.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I think this is cool. I'm interested to see if this is going to explain Rey's parents at all. I know that's like a annoying subject, but we keep coming back to it. But I can't see any other reasons that we go back to Jakku, unless it was to explain something like that or go into something about Rey, right? Like, why else would we go back there?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, there are other stories. Jakku has a little bit more importance with Palpatine, and there's some Sith. There's some crazy stuff going on, like
and that's rumored now too.
Yeah,
that's rumored that he could be coming back.
Yeah, I don't subscribe to that stuff, and I usually am the person that
James
says,
is like unsubscribe.
just because it's in this book doesn't mean that's the story they're going with in episode 9, but it's always that possibility that Jakku isn't just this desert planet that Rey happened to be on. That was, I mean, there's more to that story. We obviously know that the entire Empire was finally defeated at the Battle of Jakku, and that has popped up in the Resistance. The Tantive 4 was, here and there, and also at the Battle of Jakku. And I didn't know Yeager fought in the Battle of Jakku, and like they're making a big effort on that again. I don't think it's any sign that is like an episode 9 thing, but it isn't just a planet where Rey came from or happened to be staying at for a while. There is like a greater importance to that planet in the galactic history of Star Wars.
Well, also, it's a pretty classic story motif for our hero to go through their growth and everything and then return home. And it brings closure to them, and we've seen that in storytelling for 100 years or more. So
Yeah.
it's quite possible that Rey goes to Jakku for a personal reason as well, to complete that level of closure, and whether that's her parents' grave or whatever it may be, it's quite possible it could be for that reason too. But the other thing this source said is, which I found interesting but also not surprising, is they got the feeling based on things they've heard and seen that part of episode 9's story, sorry everybody, could be the last of the allies reaching out to previous planets and species we are familiar with to rally the troops for the final stand of the galaxy. Because many fans have been wondering, where are the familiar planets in the sequel trilogy? Where are the familiar alien species?
Right.
And maybe now's the time to bring those back. That was one big complaint people have had. And maybe JJ's like, you want it? You got it.
Yeah, I think JJ's
we
in
got
an interesting...
Ewoks, and we got this, and we got that.
Yeah.
He's in an interesting
You get an
position.
Ewok. You get an Ewok.
Because I think when you come into the franchise, you're like, okay, I'm going to kind of make things seem familiar, but I'm going to give him new stuff. And then he hands it off to Ryan, and Ryan didn't really do any of the going back to the old planets and stuff. And I don't know, JJ's, like I said, he's in this position now where I think he feels like the wrapping up of the story is totally him. Like it could have been done by Ryan Johnson, and it could have been done by Colin Trevorrow, but it wasn't done by Ryan, and now he's in Colin's position. So this whole thing is not kind of now on him. And I think that could be an excuse for him to go back and revisit all these planets. I would say that wasn't going to happen until this report came out. And now I am starting to think that we might actually see a big resurgence of the old showing up in this movie. And it might be very nostalgic for people who have watched both trilogies, which I think
we're in for a lot of fan service.
Could
right, because
be
Clayton
good.
said it was going to be very fan servicey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
So, but do you guys? So, besides, it's not Jakku. Let's say it's not Jakku. Do you think it's a new planet? Do you think it's Jetta? Do you think it's Tatooine? Where are you leaning on this, Lacey?
It's Jakku.
You do think it's
sure
Jakku?
It's Jakku. Just by the way the things look, and that's where they were going to originally shoot Jakku, and maybe they wanted to go back to the original one, but they couldn't get the space or get the permits or whatever.
There's a lot of unrest in that area too right now.
Yeah, I just can't see. I can't see them introducing a new one at this point. Like, I think it'd be a little crazy to keep introducing brand new planets and nothing that people recognize. But I think if you're bringing back, if you're bookending, as John likes to say, if you're bringing this thing to a close, you're going to go back to where it started. And the thing opened at Jakku. So I would assume that's where they go back.
Yeah, but this whole thing started on Tatooine.
I know, but I'm saying just the sequel trilogy, because they can't assume everybody's seen everything else. Because you have a whole generation that's only seen these movies.
I agree with that. I mean, if I had to put them in an order, I did it in the article, and I listed it: Jakku, Jetta, Tatooine, and last being a new planet. And I'll go backwards here to the front. So a new planet would be absolutely ridiculous at this point, introducing a fourth desert planet in Star Wars in the final chapter. There's no chance J.J. Abrams is going to do that. He'd rather bring back a planet that would be recognizable to the story. Tatooine, that was Luke's planet and Anakin's planet. This is Rey's story now. So Tatooine does not have a place right now here.
Unless you're bringing in like more Luke or Anakin, like connective story.
I just don't see it. I don't see Tatooine having a place here for some reason. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And then Jetta could be if Rey's going hunting for some Kyber, but some of the mountains in the shots here on the Jordan shoot look like the mountains of Jetta, so that's why I listed it second. But like 90% of me saying Jakku, for the reason I said before, the old trope of the hero going back after going through their growth and their journey, going back home for some closure and reflection. So that would be my pick as well.
Yeah, I think the Jetta thing is interesting because when I look at it, I go, that's Jetta. Like 100%, that looks like Jetta to me. It does not look like Jakku. Jakku is like sand dunes and doesn't really have those mountains and stuff, if I remember more correctly. But the thing is that, me and John talked about this before the report went live, but Jetta is like not in a good state. Now they could...
That's an understatement, James.
I mean, like, it's technically habitable, but I think the way that it is, it's just like constant storms, lightning. You look at the outside of the planet, there's like a giant hole in the side. The thing's like falling apart. It looks like someone took
a bite out of it.
In real life, that would never sustain life. I mean, it would be like impossible to live there. But then...
Let alone a market.
Yeah. Now, we did recently hear from... God, I'm pulling this out of nowhere, but Timothy Zahn said that the story writers or the filmmakers can do anything they want, and if Jetta is still just the holy city was destroyed, and J.J. Abrams wants to go down that line and say that she needed to go back, and that would be really cool because it connects with Rogue One, and then the story group is just going to have to figure the heck out what they're doing with we wrote a whole comic line where the planet's like non-existent, so we're gonna have to figure that out. If that's the case, that he could actually kind of change that, then they'll have to figure it out. But that's only really strongly, that's only based on the fact that it looks like Jetta, the mountains, and I think that was the location where they filmed Jetta scenes in the past. So John, this report also covered a little bit of how long the film was going to be actually shooting, like into 2019.
Yeah, so the source made it seem like they've been at this location for some time now. I do not prescribe that this setting is a big chunk of the film. They could just be doing some solid amounts of filming there. But yeah, so I was also told as well that, we're going through 2019, especially, with Pinewood. We're not sure about those other locations as they haven't been agreed upon yet, though they're on the table. They've been requested. As I said, Ireland, Italy, and California. But as far as Pinewood goes, there's going to be one set after on its own that is going to be extended for 2 more months after everything is kind of settling down. So it's interesting for me to wonder what set that is and what it's for. It says that's what we're hearing here.
Due to a rewrite, do you think that's the Billy D. Williams stuff, or do you think that's...
I don't think so.
Could be the Adam Driver stuff.
I have a feeling Billy D. Williams may even be done with his parts already. He may already have fired his trainer and be back at home on his couch.
Well, he's only got 1 or 2 scenes.
Yeah,
we don't know
my guess. My guess it's some kind of big impact scene, because if it's a rewrite and you're saving it for the end, you want to make sure everything you do up until that point makes sense. So that's my take. So I'm putting my main actors in there. I'm saying Driver, Ridley, Isaac, the whole gang. But again, it's if it's Pinewood, they could be doing anything there. So it could be a lot of green screen, could be sets, could be really anything. But the fact that we're hearing that one set in particular is going to be open for business 2 months after everything else kind of slows down is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, do you think there's anything we want to add to this? I mean, news has been fairly aimed at this particular story, the filming locations for 9. So, Lacey, anything you want to add to this?
No, not really. I mean, I love that the news right now, we're just like trying to figure out what's out there, but it gets me excited. I'm very, very sad I'm not going to be seeing Star Wars movie this December. So this, knowing that things are happening and things are being filmed, make me feel a little bit better. Because clearly all these Star Wars movies are made for me. That's what I'm making it sound like. But
and even though it's not coming this year, I feel the same way about The Mandalorian.
Right.
I'm like, I keep thinking about 9, and then I'm like, dude, before 9 comes out, we're getting The Mandalorian.
That's and who knows what else,
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that too. Until I see something tangible from from their official releases. It's in the back of my head, and I'm always that way for some reason.
You've seen more from the Mandalorian.
I want a trailer
than you
so
have
bad.
From 9, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I did forget to mention is a quote from the source who said, based on set dressing and props, they quote, surmise Abrams has incorporated a significant amount of callbacks to previous episodes. So even through props and set dressings, they're saying that as well. So I found that interesting. And this source wasn't there when the Neimoidian stand-ins were put up. Mm-hmm. So their statement matching something they didn't even see, and those come up, it kind of makes a lot of sense when you see those.
But you know
things.
what, though? I'm pretty confident those aren't Neimoidians. They look like them, but...
They do, yeah.
I mean, that species is from Cato Neimoidia, and that planet doesn't look anything at all like this. And in the comics, they were brought up in the Poe Dameron comics. They went to Cato Neimoidia, and it's very much still there and still a planet. You know, it's like, I don't know why there would be just a ton of these people. You know, if it was like
what if they're meeting up to like they send out like a call for people like they do in Ready Player One, and then the meeting place is Jakku, and all these people show up to fight the good fight. They're like, we're here for you. Yeah. And then the final battle happens where the final battle for the Empire happened.
Yeah, I don't think that...
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I agree. And it is kind of reminiscent in what happened in the Aftermath series, where they're like, hey, we just want to get all of the Empire who's ever left onto this one planet to try to figure out what we're doing. And then they were kind of like ambushed by the rebellion. But the props of the Cato Neimoidians, they look like they're in like dress robes or something. They don't look like
they could just like be a picture
ready to fight. Yeah, that's the other thing. We talked about this beforehand. We don't know if they're like, at that distance, the camera, we won't even be able to pick out that it's not just a person standing there. Is it a stand-in for when extras come in later? Is it a stand-in for what will be replaced with CG characters? Like, I don't know. It could be anything.
Right,
so,
it could be anything.
Nobody knows.
Somebody knows. There are people who know. But that is really all the news that we got this week. Now, normally we would send it over for Scoundrels Rundown, but we got something interesting and weird happening this week. What are we doing, John?
All right, so we're calling this the 6 Degrees of Kylo Ren because... If you listen to our show, you know Lacey often, not always, finds a way to bring him into the discussion.
Don't be afraid. I feel it too.
Lacey finds a way. Yeah, that's my Jeff
Goldblum. It's almost like Kylo Ren's in Lacey's head saying more, and she's like, "Okay, I'll bring you up some more." Okay. So what we did here is, in the spirit of 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, we'll throw a few Star Wars related people, places, or things at Lacey, random in the Star Wars universe.
I'm like nervous right now.
You should be. And see how many steps it would take for her to relate it to Kylo Ren. And James and I will try to give some guesses before she gets going as to how quickly she'll be able to do it. Kind of like a name that tune type of thing. And we'll run through it, and then that'll be it. So, Lacey, are you ready?
Yeah, I want to make it clear that I haven't seen these.
Okay. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to name what it is, and then James and I, you'll obviously have a minute, as James and I will say, we'll see how quickly, how many steps she can connect it, and then we'll let you go. So, the first one is Camino.
So Camino is the place from Clone Wars with long hair Obi-Wan with the lady with the long neck where they make clones.
The cloners, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So James, you're saying how many steps till she can connect that?
I can do it in 2.
You can do it in 2. I'm going to say 3.
Okay. I thought 3, but then I was able to get to 2.
All right, Lacey, connect Camino to Kylo Ren. You have the floor.
Okay, so Boba Fett was made on Camino. Boba Fett hunts Han Solo. Han Solo is Kylo Ren's dad.
Ding, ding, ding. That's 3. Okay.
3. I said Caminos are where the clones are, and Hux
Oh, he
was
says to
threatened by
Hux, I
Kylo
wanna-
Ren about the clone army. Yeah.
See, there's more than one. It's a
Ooh.
fun game, right? There's more
See,
than
now
one.
James is going to start incorporating Kylo Ren into the conversation too now because he realizes how easy it is. This is going to
I
backfire.
can get there in 2 moves. All I got to do is talk about clones.
Okay, so Lacey did Camino in 3. We're moving on to our next one, Jawa Juice.
Okay, so
Jawa
juice is made from bantha hides, right?
I don't even know what it's made
I'm
from.
pretty
I
sure
know
it
they-
is,
think
and
so?
like
Yeah.
it's like some type of grain alcohol or something like that.
Yeah.
They serve it in diners across the galaxy.
Yes, but it's an alcoholic drink made from bantha hides.
James, how many steps? Or do you want me to go first?
I'm going to say 3 on this one because
There's a couple ways you can go with this one. I think I'm gonna go a
I'm
different
gonna-
way.
She's
than you
already
think.
got like 3 or 4.
I'm gonna say 4,
All right.
even though I think it's less.
So Sebulba calls Anakin Bantha Poodoo. Anakin is Kylo Ren's grandfather.
Wait,
Oh my god.
how did you get from Jawa juice to Sebulba?
Yeah, how do you?
Oh, because Jawa juice is made out of banthas.
Oh.
So
Bantha
1.
Poodoo is what Sebulba calls Anakin.
Mhm.
Anakin is Kylo Ren's grandfather.
So 3.
So 3 steps.
James got 3. Okay. So me and James are tied 1-1. All right, the third one. Ready?
This is actually really fun. Yeah, go ahead.
The droid
Yeah.
attack on the Wookiees.
All
This
right.
is 2. This is easy.
I'm gonna say 1.
1.
Yeah.
Kylo Ren didn't say the droid attack on the Wookiees, so there you're wrong. Can't be 1. You have to have
Okay.
a middleman, right?
I don't know. I don't know if there's any rules here. We're trying to figure this out.
Yeah,
as we
Okay,
go
ready?
along.
Mhm.
All right.
Droid attack on the Wookiees. Chewbacca's a Wookiee. Chewbacca is Ben's uncle. Ben is Kylo Ren.
So that's 2 steps, I guess.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Chewbacca was a part of the attack because he is with the Wookiees and he's affiliated with Kylo Ren in that way. So, but
we
James
used
said
to-
2, so I couldn't say 2, so I said 1. you go.
We used to play a game where we would try to connect celebrities. It's kind of the same idea, but try to connect celebrities through movies. Like, John Travolta was in this movie with this person, right? And we used to find little tricks like connecting all of the actors who played Batman with the actor who played Alfred. So like you could connect George Clooney to not Christian Bale. I'm trying to think of any other. Val Kilmer through the man who played Alfred. Does that make sense?
So
The
this
man-
game is
the man
kind
who
of
played
funny.
Alfred in the first 4 movies.
In the first 4 movies. So you could say, if you want to get to George Clooney, you just have to figure out a way to get to Val Kilmer, and then you could get to George Clooney through the Alfred because he was in all the movies with all the famous...
What was his name? Like Michael Goldsmith or something like that?
I can't think of it right now, but that's what I think of with this game. Like, you just need to figure out a way to like get to Anakin, or you need to figure out a way to get to,
Han,
certain things
Luke,
like that.
Leia.
Yeah, Han. Yeah, exactly.
Right
and
now,
then-
somebody just paused the podcast and said,
I'm done.
they're typing, they're
Unsubscribe.
like, at minute 38, the name of Alfred is this. You idiots.
Yeah.
Sorry we let you down, Alfred fans. All right, so you want to do this last one here?
Yeah,
Let's
last
do
one.
this
Go
last
ahead.
one. Okay. The last one is Catwoman. No, I'm just kidding. Gonk Droid. I say 3 steps.
Well, in order to not be a tie, I have to say 2 or 4. I guess I'm going to go 2. I think she could do it faster than 4.
Okay, so Gonk Droid. BX is a droid. BX tried to kill Ben Solo in Last Shot. Boom.
Oh!
Oh my god. It's unstumpable. Okay, so James, what did you say? How many steps?
2.
2.
So.
Oh, so James won. James won.
Hey!
Oh.
James is confident
James
in my
won
Kylo
6
Ren
degrees
skills.
of Kylo Ren. I was gonna say so. My connection was gonna be R2 was in the Jawa vessel with the Gonk Droid. R2 became owned by Luke Skywalker, and Luke Skywalker was Ben Solo's
Yeah.
master.
I think 3 makes sense with almost anyone. Like, I think 3 is a pretty easy
It's like a
number
par
to
3.
hit. But if you can, yeah, exactly. That's a good example, because if you go 4, you're a bogey. If you do 3, that's average. And if you could do it in 2, that's pretty good.
I mean, he did almost get killed by a droid in Last Chat.
I'm trying to open the door by getting the code and stuff, and Lacey's taking Qui-Gon's lightsaber and jamming it right through the door until the door melts. And just like, here I am.
Yeah,
here
basically.
All right, so there it is. We may bring it back down the road, but the goal there is to fill the quota for Lacey so she never brings up Kylo Ren again in the rest of this episode. I'm just kidding. That was fun. Did you have fun, Lacey?
I did. I know a lot more about Star Wars than I thought I did.
I don't like losing, but I'll concede this one. Good job,
right.
Dave.
Well, maybe we should do it. We should switch off, like how we can get John to get to Palpatine.
Yeah.
Or Crumb. Yeah, okay.
I like I like how you said, I know more about Star Wars than I thought, yet she described Kamino as the long-haired Obi-Wan planet with the long neck lady.
That's
but
actually what it says in the Wikipedia.
Accurate.
Yeah, I think
also,
so,
I forgot to mention it rains all the time.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yes, indeed. All right, so that wraps up that one-off little segment there called 6 Degrees of Kylo Ren. And if you guys had fun with it, we'll bring it back. If you didn't like it, then we'll probably bring it back again anyway. Sometime.
Now, anytime someone goes, what's your favorite planet? We should do a poll, what's your favorite planet? And then have like Naboo, Endor, long-haired Obi-Wan planet with long neck lady where it rains.
Long neck lady.
Yeah. We'll have to release that poll like on Sunday so that when this episode comes out, people will have seen that poll and they're like, what the heck is this?
And because Twitter has
the next
character limits, we'll have to make an acronym out of every word. So it'll have to be LHO, you know. All right. Anyway, it is time to hear from you guys because it is one of our favorite segments, I think, known as Ask the Resistance. Lacey, what do they got this week?
I've been wondering, what are midi-chlorians?
Okay, guys, time for Ask the Resistance. You've got questions. We've got some Star Warsy answers.
Yeah.
That are
We've
not
got some
Kylo Ren
spooky
related.
names.
Spooky. Oh, yeah, spooky names. So the first one is Trash Buddha.
I see.
With
I think
a ghost.
he's the only spooky name, but
At Ronan Sohi. And
So high.
he asks,
I don't know.
So high.
whatever, stop correcting me all the time. I'm reading the questions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
And
the
we're
captain
giving
now.
the answers. Yeah.
This is Ask Lacey.
All right. He asks, do you think Disney might release the pilot episode of The Mandalorian in theaters as a special event, kind of like Marvel did with the Inhumans? It is, after all, still Star Wars. And do you think there will be a red carpet premiere for the show like the films get? I'm going to take this one, ladies first. So, no, I don't think they're going to release it in theaters. I think the reason they're making this show is for the streaming service, and that's money out of Bob's pocket. So, well, so to speak. But they want to push this streaming service, so they're going to want you to sign up for that. Are they going to have a premiere? Absolutely. They have a premiere for all the Marvel shows on Netflix. They have big premieres of other shows, so I don't see why they wouldn't have a premiere for this, especially because there's so much big talent involved that it would only make sense. And then it's free advertisement for the streaming service.
Correct me if I'm wrong too, but didn't the box office premiere of Inhumans didn't it bomb horribly?
Yep.
Yeah, it was like a fire. Like they just could not. I don't know. They didn't they couldn't sell it out or something. Like it was.
Could
just
you say that they
insane.
choked on their own hair?
Aspirations? What do you?
No, I was going to
What are
say
you
hair
going
because she
for?
has that long hair in Inhumans. Okay. Anyway,
I thought you were doing
next
a
question.
Vader joke.
That could have been a Vader joke. Is Shannon Smith at Shannon Nick Smith? And they say, do you think we'll get a mention in The Mandalorian of Luke and the others? Maybe even see a young Snoke? James, what do you think?
Nope.
Is that it? That's your question.
No, I mean, it really is that simple. I don't think Luke is going to have anything to do with this, and young Snoke even seems even more forced.
Shannon's like, screw you, Baney.
Yeah,
Someone else answer the question.
Yeah, I think that they're trying to do their own thing, and I think when it comes to Jon Favreau and he's like, oh, I've been kicking around these stories for a while, I think it's because he had a bunch of Mandalorian history and he found that stuff really interesting, and he wants to tell the story of a Western, and I just don't think Luke or Snoke or Kylo Ren
in The Mandalorian, James.
Vince Vaughn, will he be in The Mandalorian? It's possible. He might be The Mandalorian.
No, he wouldn't.
Imagine you see Vince Vaughn and he's just like, he's in Star Wars garb and he's a bartender at like a cantina.
Owen Wilson is young Snoke. Wow. Wow.
Take that ridiculous thing off. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Raw. Untapped potential.
Oh, no. All I'm picturing is Vince Vaughn doing that thing where he's like, do you want a drink? You don't want a drink? You want a drink? We're going to have a drink? Are we having a drink? Yes, we're not? No? Yes, no? Yes, maybe?
Hey, Mando, let's get hopped up and make some bad decisions.
I'm loving this.
All right, moving on. We have Torito Jedi Bianconero at Gray Jedi. So this person actually sent me Bongo Cat stuff, and I really appreciate that.
Nice.
Bongo Cats, what's up? And they said, since our beloved / misunderstood Jar Jar and near retirement Yoda received considerable time in the prequels, we have not seen a major CGI assisted / driven character in Star Wars movies. Do you think projects / ideas with major characters created this way are on hold until Lucasfilm could properly render them? What do you think? Our resident movie production guy, John. What do you think, John?
Well, I don't know about that moniker, but yeah, I think there's a lot of hesitation in terms of trying to do a forefront or organic being in a Star Wars live action or movie again, just because, and you know, this it gets a lot of heat sometimes, but I think Jar Jar looks pretty dated at this point, being 20 years out. You know, even I don't like CGI Yoda. I don't even think it looks like Yoda, to be honest with you. But it looks better than the crackhead puppet they tried to use for episode 1 initially.
Which makes no sense because they had the original mold because they did it for Last Jedi. So like, who dropped the ball with that one?
Yoda's all. But
I
you
always
do.
Yeah.
You do presume.
Want some PSP or BCP?
So I think I always blame Rick McCallum. Anything wrong with the prequels, I always blame Rick
Poor
McCallum.
Rick.
But they've been doing it with droids, with the mocap / let's fill it in with CGI. So I think that's the way they're going at this point. One thing to keep in mind is they can always go back and update these things. Whether they do or not, we'll see. But in terms of a forefront character, like I can't see, if the Rian Johnson trilogy happens, I can't see the main character being a creature and a CGI creature. Though it would be different, I just don't see that happening.
Snoke was CGI though.
He was motion capture, and that is a good point. I mean, I don't know how far you want to take it.
I mean, yeah, when you look at something like what Apes is doing,
yeah. I mean,
Snoke and then you bring in Andy Serkis into that, and let's see what he's doing with Snoke. I think they could
Maz
if they really wanted to.
is a CGI character.
Yeah,
I think they could, but this is my question to answer, so I'm going to answer it.
Gotcha.
So I don't think they're holding things off for any surprise like mega CGI special effect to come out of the woodwork. I just don't see it happening. I mean, I agree with these guys that they could do it. Snoke looked great, but in terms of some kind of major role to reserve something, that doesn't make too much sense to me. So I'm gonna say I don't think so. But thanks for the question. Good question.
Nice. The last one is from Jim Corbett at J Corbett with a 383. And he asks, what's your hottest take? Oh, I hate when people say hot take. Or most unpopular opinion about Star Wars movies, saga and otherwise. Mine, at the risk of being shunned for lunacy, Empire is overrated.
That
Jim,
is
I agree
an
with
awful
you.
take.
I'm on that boat, Jim. It's a great movie, but I like other ones better.
That is an awful take.
Not really. I think everybody's got their favorites. My favorite happens to be either Return of the Jedi or Force Awakens, I'd say. I mean, I don't know if that's a hot take. I like Force Awakens better than Last Jedi.
But you having The Force Awakens as, say, better than Empire or whatever, does that mean Empire has to be considered overrated?
I took his overrated as people say it's the best movie ever created, and I don't think it necessarily is.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I just don't think it's the best of all best that everybody always says it is.
Yeah, exactly. I think the term overrated often gets plumped into like an immediate insult, and you're like, no, I'm still saying it's great. I'm just saying it's not as good as what people make it out to be, which is some sort of like gift from the gods. You know what I'm saying?
Well, everybody compares it. It's like, oh, a second movie in a trilogy is always compared to Empire.
Yeah, exactly. So, Lacey, what is your actual hot take, though? Unpopular Star Wars opinion.
I mean, I said one last week. I think the pod racing scene's kind of fun. I know people really hate that. Probably my hot take is, I said this a couple weeks ago, and I kind of stand by it still. Like, look, I love the idea of Padme. I just don't think she's that great.
That's a much bigger hot take than you like pod racing.
I just feel like people kind of put her up on this pedestal of being this like strong, like amazing person. But at the end of the day, like she still put up with the garbage that Anakin gave her. And Anakin sucks.
2 hot takes.
Anyway.
Double-barreled hot takes.
James?
Hot takes across the stars. Yeah, James, what's yours?
My first one, the first one that I popped into my head was like, I get, people writing in or people upset that I say that I talk on how much I hate Force ghosts.
There it is.
That was the first thing that I thought of, but the honest truth is that I don't hate Force ghosts. I just hope they don't continue to do Force ghosts because of a actual physical real world issue. You're never going to have those actors around. So that's it didn't what do they call that when like it didn't hold up or whatever?
It didn't hold water? It didn't hold up?
I can't think of what it is, but
it's also kind of like the time machine thing, It's like Deadpool has that time machine watch or whatever that was, so it undoes everything that's happened.
That's
that's
every
not
Marvel
cool.
movie
What kind
now.
of storytelling is that? It's sloppy.
It didn't age well. That's what I'm thinking of.
okay.
Someone's like, oh, this didn't age well. Like, yeah, it was great for the original trilogy. It even kind of worked in the prequels, but now that there's like the sequels and they know they're going to continue to make all these movies and they're going to go further and further into the future, it doesn't really, it's like, oh, shoot, well, that kind of sucks that we have this thing where they can just show up all the time. But I don't hate Force ghosts. The actual one that I think is like an unpopular opinion, I don't really care for A New Hope.
Ooh.
I really like that movie.
I usually put A New Hope somewhere near the bottom.
You hear that? That take is sizzling.
Yeah.
Do you put what prequels do you put above New Hope?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to say.
You said towards the bottom, so something's got to come ahead of it.
I understand. I have a hard time ranking the movies anyway. I think the reason that I have so much of a hard time with A New Hope is because it's the only one where they didn't plan for more stories. If
James,
that kind of makes sense. So they just kind of like did their own thing, and then later
better
they're
than
like,
A New Hope.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Name
Probably.
one, just to give us a perspective.
Oh gosh, I don't know, guys. I hate this like ranking thing. I don't like old stuff. so
James' real hot take is that he doesn't like ranking
like,
things.
Yeah, I don't like ranking things either. It just feels like there's so much pressure to be like that forever. I'm going to be held to saying that I like this book or something. Like that's the thing is like I could probably name books that I think might be the case, but I bet if I even listen to this podcast 3 days from now, I'm going to be like, I don't know why I said that because there's this stuff in the book and that's not better than A New Hope. I don't know.
James, what's your top 5 list of all time?
Okay, John, let's not he's like stressing out. You're like making him get anxiety. John, what's your hot take?
My hot take is that George Lucas is not a good director.
That's not a hot take.
That's not a hot take?
That's kind of been discussed a lot.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think people say, hey, he made the original trilogy and that's all good and fine. But I think like after the prequels came out, everybody's like, yeah.
Okay. So I have to think of another one?
No,
No,
I
it's
mean,
fine.
I mean, unless you're saying like the original trilogy wasn't that great, and you're also saying like Indiana Jones and stuff is not that great. That's kind of a Star Wars related.
All right, here's two for you.
Topic.
Natalie Portman's acting in the prequels was atrocious. And
Not a hot
Rose
take.
Tico is not a good character.
The second one is a hot take. The first one, it's the writing, it's the dialogue. It's not
I'm
her
sorry.
fault.
I'm sorry, but it has nothing to do with Kelly Marie Tran. And if people can't separate that, that's their problem. But Rose Tico didn't go through any kind of learning process in The Last Jedi. She knew everything she needed to know from beginning to end. So I had a hard time empathizing with her, aside from her sister dying, who we didn't even really know. So the character didn't do much for me, and I don't think Finn needed any more lessons at that point, which is a purpose she served as well. She just seemed to know everything and didn't go through any like personal growth like every other character did. So the character fell flat to me. And if you can appreciate that, then cool. If you have a hard time with it, I apologize.
You don't have to apologize for your opinion on a fictional character. Anyway,
That's what I'm saying.
those are
All right.
our hot takes. I hate that phrase. But thank you
Should we
guys so
ban
much
hot
for your
takes from
questions.
the show?
You could say unpopular opinion.
Unpopular opinions. How about that? Okay. Thank you so much for your questions. If you want to be on the show, you can send us a question to our Twitter account at RBATSWW or SWNN.
At Star Wars Wars.
Yeah.
Let me try that again. At RB. The funny thing is, you guys don't realize I have my eyes closed. I'm literally writing out in the air and I still got it wrong. At RBATSWNN. And if you send your questions with hashtag AskTheResistance, you could be on the show and we could read your questions and talk about your handle. It'll be a grand old time. All right, back to you, John.
All right, guys. We may officially ban the phrase hot take from the podcast.
I'm okay with
That
that.
is a hot take, John.
I'm okay
Poll,
with that.
should we ban hot take from the podcast? So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Also now Spotify. Get on the Spotify and listen to us. It's very easy to do so. I listen to there now too, so it's pretty cool. Also, head to StarWarsNewsNet.com, our website for all of your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. You guys can go to tpublic.com/user/resistance broadcast. I'm not sure if they still have a sale going on right now, but usually they do every couple of weeks or so, where you can get a t-shirt for $14, a mug, a sticker, a bunch of stuff. We have about 39 or 40 designs up there, so go check it out and support the show. We appreciate that. You guys can find me, John Hoey, on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, and writing and editing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. James Bainey, how about you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Meyer Trunks, and also just kind of mentally preparing for our dramatic Darth Vader discussion that's happening next Thursday. So
dramatic.
I don't know how that's gonna go over. We'll see.
It's all in fun. Lacey, how about you? Where are you at?
John loves Chewie, who's best friends with Han Solo, who's Kylo Ren's dad.
3 steps.
There it is. Boom.
Everyone can find me on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin, where I talk about Star Wars and Bongo Cat and grand old things like fun and the interwebs. Sweet.
Very
Dog.
cool.
All right. Cool.
Guys, thanks for listening. Hit us up on Twitter, as Lacey said, at RBATSWNN. Let us know what you think about our news discussion, about the 6 Degrees of Kylo Ren. Could you have done better? Could you have done worse? Did you guess any of Lacey's steps right? Let us know. And what you thought about our answers to those questions. And of course, as always, keep those questions coming. And we will see you guys on Thursday morning, where we, as James said, we are going to discuss, guys, how dramatic is Darth Vader? I mean,
Like, for real.
He's kind of dramatic, but we'll get into that more on Thursday. So enjoy your weeks, and we'll catch up with you guys on Thursday morning right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.